I would like to show you how to make a pair of full finger gloves. So it's just like my recent half finger gloves tutorial, except with full fingers. So these are my experiment gloves. I just used offcuts and scraps from other projects. So yeah, but they've worked out well. The measurements, yeah, I'm going to be working on them in this tutorial as we go along because yeah, the fingers could be longer. But I mean, it's not a major setback. So easy to make, super easy to make. Just like the half finger. I also know that in my last tutorial I added music to the tutorial, which was a bit too loud, and I'm sorry for that if you watch the other one for the half finger gloves. Which is a shame, because I'm really proud of that tutorial. Like, I really love those gloves, but I think the music ruined it a little bit. Which, I'm taking on board for the future, because I want to make videos people want to watch. So yeah. Anyway. Okay, so for this tutorial, yeah, also these gloves. So all the yarns are slightly different in ply and weight and stuff. So, I mean, the orange is thicker than the grey, and so the fingers on this one turned out smaller than the fingers on this one. But, that's why I'm just going to be using one yarn for these gloves for the tutorial. And it's this one, so it's the Living Colour. It's probably backwards, but, Living Colour, 100% extra soft. And this is 100 grams, approximately 140 meters, 100% acrylic. It recommends that I use like a 2.5 millimeter hook, but I won't be doing that. I'll be using my 5 because I like using my 5. Just works best. Yes, especially for these gloves. Alright, I don't think there's much else to say. I really like attaching buttons to the gloves. I don't know why. Anyway, so I'll be using these. I've had a couple of these lying around. I don't know whether they're pretty sort of design. That'll go really nicely with the green. Okay, yeah. So, not much else to say. We should just get straight into it. Alright, now, to begin, make a slip knot and chain 9. Okay, now in the second chain from the hook, so not that one just there, but the second one along, put a single crochet. And then a single crochet into each chain all the way back to the beginning. Okay, now our next step is to chain 1 and turn the work, and we're going to be putting a single crochet through the entire stitch. So see the V on the top of the stitch just there? We're going to be going in beneath that and putting a single crochet. So that's for the first stitch. Now for the next 6 stitches, we're going to be putting our single crochet into the back part of that V on the top. So the top and the back part just there. So I put a single crochet into there, and that's for the next 6 stitches along. Okay, now for the last stitch at the end, for the 8th stitch, we're going to be doing the same as the first stitch. So going in through the whole of the stitch, so through beneath both parts of the V, we're going to put our single crochet. And there we go. And now our next step is to chain 1, turn the work, and just do exactly the same thing as you did for the previous row. So first stitch is through the entire stitch. Next 6 stitches are through the top back part of that V. And then the 8th and final stitch is through the entire part of the stitch, or the entire of the stitch through the bottom beneath both parts of the V. just like that. And that's what's going to help to form the ribbed effect for the cuff. Okay, so for my measurements I'm going to be doing 26 of these rows. So I'll meet back up with you when I finish that, and I'll show you where to go from there. Okay, now that I've finished my 26 rows, so it should look like this, I'm going to fold the cuff in half, and without chaining up one, I'm going to go in through that first stitch, through the bottom of the V, and I'm going to attach single crochet, slip stitch actually, attach to the corresponding chain, foundation chain on the other side. So in through there and slip stitch through those parts. Okay, and then moving straight onto the next stitch along and slip stitching that to the corresponding foundation chain at the other end. So you'll see it as you go, it'll work out. So just through there, slip stitch, and then do that for all 8 stitches, and I'll meet you at the end and I'll show you where to go from there. Alright, here we are, both ends joined, and now what we're going to do is we're going to fold that inside out, or right side in, wrong side in, inside out, I don't know. And now we've formed the cuff. So the next step is to chain up one, and straight from there we're going to be putting single crochets into the end of each row. So you'll be able to see easily where the ends of the rows are. And for me that's going to be 26 stitches, so just single crochets until you have the amount of stitches as same as the amount of rows that you've done. So for me 26, so that's 1, 2, 3, and you can see what I mean by it's easy to find the ends of the rows just there. So I'm going to go away, finish up my 26 stitches around, and I'll meet back up with you and I'll show you where to go from there. Alright, now that I've put a single crochet into the end of each row for 26 stitches, I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that chain one, so that's right above the first single crochet, just slip stitching into that chain one, just like this. And my next step is going to be to chain up one and turn the work, and not putting my single crochet directly into that stitch just there, but into the next stitch along. I'm going to be doing 26 single crochets around, and I'm going to be doing this for 10 rows, so that's 26 crochets around, slip stitching into the top of the chain one, turn the work, 26 crochets, single crochets around, slip stitching into the chain one, turn the work. So yeah, just continuing to do that for 10 rows. And once we've done our 10 rows, I'll meet back up with you and I'll show you where to go from there. Okay, now that I've finished my 10 rows of single crochet, I'm going to start work on the thumb holes. So to do that, I'm going to chain up one, turn the work, and complete another row of single crochet, or another round of single crochet, as you would normally do. But when we get to the end, I'll meet back up with you and I'll show you where to go from there. Okay, here I am at the end of the round, but instead of slip stitching into the top of that chain one, I'm going to instead, straight from that last stitch, I'm going to chain up one, turn the work, and single crochets all the way back round to the other end of the row, or the other end of the round. So straight into that, always make sure to put your first single crochet straight into the one beneath the chain one, just because at the end of the round there's obviously not going to be that slip stitch to act as the final stitch. So that's 26 single crochets back in the other direction, and once you've done that you're going to chain up one and again turn the work and single crochets back in the other direction. And we're going to do this a total of 5 times, and that's the measurements I've got for my thumb area. So it's a total of 5. Okay, now that I've finished those 5 rows for the thumb hole, I'm going to once again slip stitch to the top of the chain 1 on the opposite end, on the other end of the row, just to join the round again. Just like that. And there we go. So there is the thumb hole. Now, because there are only 26 stitches and I need a stitch count of 40 to be able to do the 4 fingers at the top of the glove, what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1 and then I'm going to turn the work, and what I'm going to be doing is putting 2 stitches into every second stitch until I count 10. So we'll do that together to begin with. So 1, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so do that until you count to 10, or 10, 10. Okay, so I've counted to 10, so there should be 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10, 10. And then just finish up the rest of the stitches around till you get to the end. So counting to 26, I suppose. But you will end up, by the end of this round, with a stitch count of 31. So I'll meet you back when we've reached the end of this round, and I'll show you where to go from there. Alright, so here we are again at the end of the round, and once again we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain, just at the top of the first single crochet, so just there, slip stitch into that stitch to join the round, and then once again we're going to chain up 1 and turn the work, and we're going to do the same as we did for the previous round. So 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 6 to a count of 10. And then once you reach the end of this round, you should end up with a stitch count of 36. Okay, now I've reached the end of that round, and I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 1 to join. Now once again we chain 1 and turn the work, and this time we're only going to be putting 2 stitches into every second stitch up until the 8th stitch, so that by the end of this round we'll end up with a total stitch count of 40. So that's 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, and 8, and then just finishing up the remaining stitches till you get to the end, and then slip stitch into the top of the chain 1 to close the round, and I'll meet back up with you again and show you where to go from there. Okay, now that I have made it to a stitch count of 40, I'm going to chain up, turn the work, and then do 5 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 single crochets. Now turning to the end of the round, so turn it around like that, and counting 5 stitches back from the end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So into that stitch just there, we're going to insert our hook into the 5th stitch from the end of the round, and we're going to put in our single crochet, and that's going to be the 6th stitch of the index finger. So that's 6, and there, 10, and then slip stitch into the top of the chain 1, just like that. And there you have the beginning of the first finger. So what we do after that is, just in, the typical rounds that we do, hang on a second, it can be a little fiddly, but if you stick with it, it's going to be okay. So, chain up 1, turn your work, and then 10 single crochets back in the other direction, slip stitching into the top of the chain 1. And continue those rounds of 10 until, well, for me it's for my index finger, which measures to about 11 rounds. But I mean, if it's one more, I'll let you know by the time I get there. So yeah, I'm going to do 11 of these rounds, and we'll meet back up after I've completed that. And if I need to do another round, we'll do another round, and I'll let you know, but I'll show you where to go from there. Okay, so I did actually end up doing 12 rows for this finger, for the index finger. So as you can see there, once I go to sew it shut, it's going to be just the right length. So that means I'm probably going to do 13 rows for this finger, another 12 rows for this finger, and maybe 8 for this. But at the end I'll just tell you all my measurements. So now we just snip the yarn there, and we pull that through like that, and just tie it off for the moment and leave it. Because now what we're going to do is get started on the next finger along. So to do that, you find the end of your yarn and make a slip knot. Then, turning the cloth like this, move to the next stitch along. So be careful not to get it into the stitch you've already stitched into. Focus camera. Into the stitch that you've already stitched into. So the next stitch along, that one just there, and pull the slip knot through that stitch. Just like that. Secure it. And now chain up 1. So chain 1, and into that same stitch beside the slip knot and the chain, put a single crochet, so that's 1, and then count along 5 stitches, so 2, and 5. And then just the same as the first finger, turn to the other side, or turn to the end, and making sure not to go into that stitch that you've already put a stitch into, count 5 back. So 1, that's the first one there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that one just there, insert your hook, and that's going to be stitch number 6, so single crochet 6, and then next stitch along 7, there we go. And just like with the other finger, we slip stitch into the top of the chain 1, and might be a little tight, there we go. So slip stitch into the top of the chain 1. Yeah. Okay, so I've slip stitched into the top of the chain 1, and now again I chain up 1, turn the work, and 10 stitches around, 10 stitches around, and once I get to the end I slip stitch into the top of the chain 1, turn the work, 10 stitches around again, until I've done 13 rows. So yeah, that's what it's going to be. So basically you're just measuring these rows to fit the finger. So it's as simple as that. And then once you've done all that, I'm going to show you how to do the thumb. Also, obviously, when you get to this one, it's just this, going to go straight around. Anyway, you'll figure it out. It's fine. So yeah, once we've done all 4 fingers, I'm going to show you how to do the thumb. So I'll meet back up with you then and show you where to go from there. Alright, I've now completed 4 fingers. So like I said, that one was 12 rows, 13, 12, and 8. 8 rows for the little finger. Now I'm going to start work on the thumb. So to do that, we make another slip knot. And what I do is I just distribute 11 stitches evenly around the hole where the thumb is. Really evenly. So starting at the top, just there, stick my hook through, pull through the slip knot, adjust the slip knot. Try to be neat to some extent. Okay, adjust the slip knot, chain up 1, and then into that same space where you put the slip knot, put a stitch, so that will be stitch number 1. So 1, not very neat, and then just evenly around, so 2, 2, and 3. So yeah, 11 stitches evenly around the thumb. I've distributed those stitches evenly around the thumb hole, and then I'm just gonna, as usual, slip stitch into the top of the chain 1. So into the top of the chain 1, where is that? That's just there. So slip stitch into that stitch. Yes. Alright, I've slip stitched into that stitch, and then we just once again chain up 1, and we're going to be doing rounds of 11 until the thumb reaches the length that it covers your thumb. And then once I've done all that, so just the typical going around, chain 1, turn the work, go back around the other way. So do that, and then we'll meet back up when the thumb is finished, and I'll show you how to close up all the finger holes. And yeah, then we'll talk about weaving in the ends and all that stuff like that, turning the glove, inside out to do that. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Alright, so I'll meet back up with you soon, and we'll sew shut the gloves. Fingers. We'll sew shut the fingers. Alright, now that I've completed the thumb, I'm going to show you how to sew up the finger holes. So, just taking your darning needle, thread the end of the yarn. Oof, this one's not going to be easy. Unfortunately for the moment I've lost my really good darning needle, so I'm just using this backup darning needle where the hole isn't as big as the other one. Anyway, so just to sew it up, you just thread the end of the yarn through all 11 stitches of the thumb hole, and then through all 10 stitches of the other fingers. So just like this, just go ahead and thread through all those stitches. Okay, so I've threaded the yarn through all 11 of those stitches, and then all you do after that is just pull it tight to close up the gap. And it's as simple as that. And now just using the last stitch, just tie it off. Make sure it's nice and tight. Just like that. There we go. Now this is the right side of the work, so what I do is I just, after I've done that with the top of the finger, I just thread, being careful not to catch it on the inside or on the other side, I just thread it through the inside, just like that, and leave it there like that. And then with the other loose bits for the beginning of the fingers, I just stick my crochet hook inside, and then come up through the middle of the fingers like that, and just pull that loose bit through. I hope that makes sense. And then at the end, when everything is sewn shut and woven through, and well, not woven through, but pushed through to the inside of, or the outside, inside of the glove. I turn it inside out, and then I weave the ends in just like that. It's as simple as that. Yes, so just sewing through all 10 stitches on the rest of the fingers, shoving the loose ends of the yarn into the other side of the glove, turn the glove inside out. Yeah, it's as simple as that, and then weaving in the ends. So I'm going to go away and do that. I'm going to finish up the other glove, and then we'll come back, we'll try on our gloves, and we'll see how they look. But yeah, basically that's it. That's how it goes. Alright, see you soon. Okay, so here are the finished gloves. As you can see, it's just one step further than the half finger gloves that I made for the previous tutorial. So really, really basic, really, really simple to make. And I'm actually really happy with the way they turned out. This yarn is not the greatest. It's a little bit, I don't know if you can call yarn flaky, but you know, it's sort of getting a lot of fluff balls. So it's not the best for gloves. I don't think, if you're going to, you know, make gloves, obviously find a yarn that's a bit more durable, you know, that's not going to get fluff balls, and yeah, do that. But no, I mean, I'm pleased for the benefit of this tutorial, at least, with how they've turned out. I think they're kind of cute. Yeah, so anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you've been able to make a really cute pair of gloves. If you've liked the video, please like. If you would like to join me for some more, which there's always going to be plenty more with me, I'm always coming up with new designs and hopefully easier ways of making things. Cute things, you know, just basic, simple. I like that. Basic, simple, not too complicated. If that's what you'd like to see, then please subscribe. I'd love to have you join me. Okay, yes. Thanks for watching.